What up, all you gotcha gamers? It's Melder here, and today I'll be bringing you another Arknights beginner guide. Okay guys, so for the next few videos, I'm going to be talking specifically about the classes of Arknights. Today, we're going to be going over the Vanguard class, and I'm just going to give a quick little rundown of what this video is going to have in it. The first thing I'm going to talk about is the Vanguard class as a whole and what these characters are good at, what they're useful for. The second thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be breaking up all of these characters into specific subclasses. And then after that, I'm going to be talking about pros and cons for every single Vanguard in the game as of April 2021. Okay, guys, let's just get right into it now. And Vanguards as a whole, these operators are going to be your first line of defense. They are going to be those cheap units you put down early on a majority of the time, and they are going to be generating you cost points or deployment points. This way, you guys can spawn even more expensive units to put down your real heavy hitters. And some of these characters can even last you throughout the entire game. Not all of them are just early game units. Some of them have pretty strong carry potential in terms of DPS and utility as well. Now, there are going to be 3 different archetypes or subclasses within the Vanguard class as a whole. The first one is going to be the flag bearer characters. The 5-star, the premier flag bearer Vanguard is going to be Elysium. Now, you can really see which subclass they fall under by checking their trait. So, for example, Elysium cannot block enemies during the skill duration. And the reason for this is because Elysium, like all flag bearers, generate a large amount of DP during the skill activation, but they lose block. The next subclass, is going to be the DP on kill Vanguards. Now, DP on kill tend to be a lot cheaper. They're only single block characters, but every time they defeat an enemy, they get 1 cost point. In addition to that, they refund completely the amount of DP they cost when you retreat them. So they have really solid value overall. Now, the third Vanguard class is going to be the DP on skill Vanguards. They are 2-block Vanguards, and just like the name says, every time they activate their skill, they get a cost point instead of DP on kill, who gets it every single time they defeat an enemy. Now that we know the different subclasses of the Vanguards, let's talk about the operators. Okay, guys, we're here on the A-Ship toolbox. I'm going to put the link to this website in the description down below. But anyways, let's just get right into it. This is Myrtle. She's a 4-star flag bearer Vanguard. Some people won't call them flag bearers. They'll call them something else, like DP printers or other things like that. But I like to call them flag bearers. Anyways, let's get into her pros. She gives huge amounts of cost points or DP, even at skill rank 7. You definitely want to mastery 3 her skill 1 for the best value, which it's not too hard to do. But even at SR 7, she gives 14 cost points when her skill's active, and a pretty reasonable SP cost. If you guys know what SP is, it's basically like the mana system of this game. Once a character reaches a certain amount of SP, which in this case is 25, they'll be able to activate their skill. Now, if you see right here, the SP charge type, she gains 1 SP every second. There are different types of SP charge types, and you can kind of look around and explore those on this website. But anyways, she has a pretty low SP cost, so she's going to be firing off her skills and getting a ton of DP all the time throughout the stage. The next thing is she's really easy to E2 and just kind of build in general. She is a 4-star, so you don't need a ridiculous amount of LMD and XP to level her up. You don't need to farm chip catalysts. And the value that you get from E2ing her is very nice. And the reason why is because of her talent that she unlocks. Now, what her talent does is it gives a global Vanguard heal. So every Vanguard operator, when she's deployed, gains 25 HP every second. And you're eventually going to max potential her. So it's going to go up to 28, which is really nice. After that, she is just really an amazing character for contingency contract and endgame content as a whole. You'll see her all the time in high risk CC clears. The reason for that is because there are a lot of risks, which are challenges that reduce the amount of DP that you gain naturally. So her and Elysium really help out. And I'm going to be talking more about this when I do the contingency contract video pretty soon after this video series. But yeah, she's just super good at endgame content and an absolute monster in CC. Her cons now. Like Elysium and all the other characters that will be coming out with this archetype, she loses her block on skill. So you can't use her as a frontline character. She doesn't really have the best stats. She does hit decently hard in some occasions, but you're never really going to be using her as a frontline character. You're just going to be having her in the back or somewhere far away, using her skill over and over again to get your main heavy hitters out there. Next, we're going to talk about Elysium. And Elysium is the same type of deal. He loses his blocks on skill, and he also lacks that frontline potential that Myrtle lacks as well. He gets more cost points, so he gets 4 more DP with the skill activation. But as you can see here, his SP cost is a little bit higher. So it's more up to preference of what you like. Or what character you like better. I like to build both, or I built both of them, and I like to use both of them interchangeably. But yeah, that's a little bit of a difference there. In addition to getting more DP, he also buffs sniper operators. As you see right here with his talents, he reduces the cost of all sniper operators when he is on the field by 1 at E1 and then 2 at E2. And then he also gives them attack speed when he has his skill activated. So when he activates his skill, all the snipers are going to attack a little bit faster, which does come in handy a decent amount of the time. Also, I know I keep saying this, but he also has a good skill 2. His skill 2 gains a large amount of DP as well, but it also has a lock-on effect of up to 4 enemies. What that does is it slows their movement speed by 60%, which is a huge amount. And they also lose 25 defense, and an additional bonus, they lose stealth, which stealth isn't super common in this game, but the minus 25 defense is pretty huge for sure. So lots of pros for this character and Myrtle as well. Not a lot of cons, to be quite honest. I definitely recommend building these characters. And like Myrtle, Elysium's also a beast in contingency contract as well. So now we're going to get into the DP on kill Vanguards. DP on kill, for those of you guys who don't remember, are characters who get 1 deployment point per kill that they get on the field. And we're going to talk about the first one, which is the 6-star Bagpipe. Now, Bagpipe is great because if you do have her E2'd, she is going to snowball the early game a crazy amount because of her E2 talent. Every Vanguard operator gains 6 SP when they are deployed, or in general. Bagpipe does not even need to be deployed to get this, so she just gets it for you taking her to the stage. The 6 SP might not sound like a lot, but trust me, as soon as you put Myrtle down, if she's M3'd, you're going to get your skill instantly. So that'll really help you place the rest of your units down. In addition to this, she has really great burst DPS on her skill 2 and her skill 3. We're going to talk about her skill 3 mainly, but both her skill 2 and her skill 3 are great. She gains +1 block, and she gets an attack and defense boost of 90%, which hits 3 times or deals 3 hits. So her damage output is crazy high. A lot of people consider her to be guard levels of DPS when she has her skill 3 activated. The issue with this is her uptime is a little bit lackluster because you need a 40 SP cost. So after your first skill activation, it's going to take a fair amount of time to get that second skill up. So uptime is a little bit below average. She, like all other DP on kill Vanguard, she only blocks 1. But that's about it for her pros and cons. Overall, she's a great frontline carry. Really great character for contingency contract and in-game content as well. So overall, a good unit. The next character is Granny. Now, Granny is a welfare unit, meaning that we got her for free from doing an event or playing an event, participating, whatever you want to call it. So not all of you guys might have Granny, but I didn't want to skip on characters that some of y'all might not have because, you know, just in case the event does come back again for the third time, I want to make sure you guys know a little bit about her. So she is a welfare unit, so she's very free to play friendly, which is already a great pro to have. Her talent gives an evasion buff to all Vanguards. She has really good burst DPS when her skill 2 is active. And so that means she hits 2, and she'll also block 2 as well, similar to Bagpipe skill. So her S2 is pretty strong. The issue with this character is she blocks 1 normally, which I'll mention in every single DP on kill Vanguard. She does lack a fair amount of DPS when her skill 2 is not active. Her stat line is more defensive, which is normally pretty great, except that she's a DP on kill Vanguard. So she has a bit of counter synergy where she can't kill things to gain DP unless she has her skill up. And in addition, she's also rather expensive. At E2, she's a 14 cost Vanguard, not including potentials. So that is definitely on the higher end for sure. After this, we have Reed. Now, Reed is a pretty rare unit, and by that, I mean a lot of people don't really have her or have her built that I've seen. I actually really like this character. She's quite cool. She is the only DP on kill Vanguard that does arts damage. So she does a combination of physical and arts damage. Normally she does physical. When she activates her skill, she does additional magic damage, which is really, really great because Vanguards tend to get hard-walled by high armor characters usually. She's one of the few, I think she's the only Vanguard with magic resistance built into her kit. You get magic resistance with her talent, which is really nice. In addition to that, she adds more DP on kill with her skill 2. Now, obtain +1 additional cost when killing an enemy. So when she gets a kill with her skill active, she is going to be getting 2 DP instead of 1. So this can, if you place her down and you time her skill 2 properly, she's going to be gaining a lot of deployment points with her skill up, and she's going to be doing a fair amount of damage as well. The issue is, like before, she is a 1 block, and her SP cost is a little bit higher than some of the other characters as well, but overall, she's a really solid unit. After that, we have the first 4-star DP on kill, which is Vinya. Vinya does a crazy amount of DPS. She has very, very high DPS, especially with her skill up. Her skill gives her plus 150% attack, and her talent also can give her an additional 100% attack, but it's RNG dependent, which is a little bit annoying. So overall, though, this character I would definitely recommend building. She's very free to play friendly, guys. She's also quite cheap to put in. She's a 9 cost at E0 and an 11 cost at E2, so she's definitely on the cheaper side to place down. But yeah, she's kind of squishy. She has an RNG based talent, and she only blocks 1. But overall, guys, if you're free to play and you have her, I highly recommend building her. Now, the last one is going to be the 3-star. This is Plume, and being a 3-star, you know, she's going to get outscaled very hard just because you can't E2 her. So her rarity definitely gates her from hitting super endgame content or anything like that. But she is very cheap to spawn. She's only an 8 cost and a 10 cost at E1 max. She does pretty solid DPS, actually. Despite being a 3-star, she does pretty decent DPS. She's very, very free-to-play friendly and extremely easy to build. Like all 3-star characters, all you need to E1 them is LMD and XP tickets, and that's it. So she's very free-to-play friendly and hits pretty nicely. Another issue besides her being outscaled is she gets no initial SP. So initial SP refers to the skill points that you get upon spawning the unit in. Some other characters, they get very high initial SP, but Plume gets 0. So she has to go all the way up to 45 SP or 45 seconds before she gets her first skill activation, which is not very good. It takes quite a long time. That's it for the DP on kill Vanguards. Let's get into the DP on skill Vanguards. So Siege, a lot of people would consider her to be a Vanguard because she just has a large amount of carry potential. She gives a class-wide defense and attack buff with her talent, and she also does AoE damage on her skill 2, which is really awesome. I think you should use her skill 2 over her skill 3. It just gets a lot more value because it gains DP, unlike skill 3, and you're going to have it up a lot more often. She has overall very high stats. She's quite tanky, does a good amount of a DPS as well. Her skill 2 gives her really solid DPS. It's a 280% physical nuke that can hit multiple different enemies, and you also get a good amount of DP from that as well. And the greatest thing about this, and you'll notice a lot of other characters in the future, I'll talk about this, her skill 2 can hold charges, meaning that if she's not using the skill, she's gaining additional charges, and she could do 3 in a row if an enemy could live through all that damage, which is really great uptime and value overall. The issue with Siege is she needs a target for her to gain DP. So it's not always the most reliable source of cost points, but she does start gaining a good amount once she's fighting. And the other issue is she is notoriously more expensive of a Vanguard. She is a 14 cost Vanguard, but that's about it for cons for Siege. Overall, she's an amazing workhorse unit. She's really solid. Next up is going to be Kiave. Kiave is a very interesting character because his talent allows him to basically buff 1-star operators, which is Lancet 2, Thermal X, and Castle. So he reduces the amount of redeployment time that they have, and he has good synergy with them. Overall, he has pretty solid stats. He is a bit squishy. He is on the definitely on the squishier side, but his S2 does AoE arts damage, and it does a magic resistance debuff, as well as the fact that it can hit drones. So overall, his skill 2 is very nice. But he is squishy, and the talent overall, if you're not planning on using robots, it's basically useless to you. After this, we have Kiave's kind of counterpart, and her name is Texas. I know a lot of you guys love Texas, but we'll just talk to you about her anyways. So what's great about Texas is she, despite being very squishy of a character, she has a lot of utility. And the reason for that is because her skill 2 has a stun, which is amazing. It's a 2-second stun at skill rank 7, and it does a fair amount of arts damage as well. And this can also hit drones. So despite being squishy, she still has a lot of value overall and can really help slow down the opponent while gaining DP as well. Third, we have Zima. Zima is the last of the 5-star DP on skill Vanguards. She is definitely like the epitome of a bruiser character in this game, at least within the Vanguard class. She is quite tanky. She does pretty low DPS, but her skill 2 gives a good amount of DP, and it also gives an attack and defense buff to Vanguards. Now, when you have her skill active, it gives an additional 1 DP when any Vanguards get a kill, which can be very nice for you. You can snowball games very hard and get all of your high cost units out there earlier with a good skill 2 activation. The issue with this is that the timing can be off. Sometimes you want to just get the skill 2 off so you can get that 11 DP. Sometimes you want to use the skill so you can buff your characters who need the buff, and you want to use it to fight. But it's like this weird medium where you want to use it for DP, but you also want to use it to buff, and it can kind of be a little tricky to time. But one great thing about her is that she reduces the cost of all Vanguard operators, which is really nice. So it's only -1, but it really adds up, especially if you take a lot of Vanguard characters. Now we're going to get into the 4-star DP on skill operators. The first one being Courier. Courier is an amazing character. He is quite tanky. He is very free-to-play friendly because you can buy him in the credit store. So you basically get him for free. He's pretty cheap to build and also pretty cheap to spawn. At E2, he's a 12 cost, so that's definitely on the lower end for DP on skill Vangs. In addition, he has a talent defense boost. So when he's blocking 2 or more enemies, he gets a defense boost, which definitely helps his tankiness. You can see in a lot of free-to-play friendly guide videos, they're always using Courier because he's just a workhorse. He's a really great overall character. Some cons to him though is his skills give not the most DP. His skill 2 gives 11 and his skill 1 gives 9. So it's not the best, not the highest amount of DP gain. And he does have very low DPS, but he makes up for that for being tanky overall. After this, we have the offensive counterpart to Courier. This is Scavenger. Scavenger, despite being the offensive counterpart, she doesn't actually do that much damage, in my opinion. You really need to place her and make use of her talent, which you can't place allies within the 4 adjacent tiles to her. So it makes her positioning a bit tricky overall, but you do get an attack defense buff when you do that. She is very cheap to spawn, being 12 costs like Fang, Courier. And she's relatively cheap to build, but overall she's really squishy, does not give that much DP like Courier, and her positioning can be a little tricky if you want to get the best value out of her. Next up, we have the 3 stars. The first one being Fang. Everyone got this lovely Fang skin for free, but Fang is a 3-star. And with both Fang and Vanilla and Plume, she definitely gets outscaled because of the rarity, not being able to E2 her and all that stuff like that. She does have very low DPS, but she is extremely cheap to spawn. She's an 11 cost unit. Overall, I think she's really solid. I still think Courier is definitely more of a better investment personally, but Fang is a solid character. She is pretty bulky despite being a 3-star character. She's very easy to build like all 3 stars are, as I said. And yeah, she's very free to play friendly. Now we have the offensive counterpart to Fang. This is Vanilla. Vanilla, like Fang, is cheap. She's very easy to build, super free to play friendly. She has pretty decent DPS actually, and she can also block 2. But the same issues. She is squishy. She is outscaled because of rarity, and she definitely does not gain a lot of DP when you activate her skill. And then the last Vanguard overall is a 2-star. This is Yato. Yato, she's not really even a Vanguard, despite being in the Vanguard class. She does have really fast redeployment time, being 40 seconds because of her talent. So that's actually pretty decent. And she also blocks 2, which is nice. But she doesn't gain any DP on skill or on kill at all. She is a 2-star, so she's only can be a max level of 30. She just has bad stats overall. And I mean, you could level her up because it's super easy. But you definitely don't want to rely on her outside of some like meme content, to be quite honest. So guys, that's it. Hopefully that was a good amount of information for every single one of these characters. If you have any additional questions, you could definitely check out this website, or you could ask me in the comments below. I would love to talk about Arknights and answer them for you. A few things that I want to note is that this website has a really great comparing feature. It's still a work in progress, but if you click the operator tab at the top and then scroll down to the comparing, you can actually compare a lot of these characters together. Like this is all the 5 to 3-star DP on skill Vanguards minus Chiave. I'll just add Chiave in. I'll bring them to E150. So the 3-stars have a bit of a chance. And you can see right here, like, Zima is tankier. She has the highest defense, the highest HP. You can see that Texas is really squishy. You can see that they overall, like, some characters have pretty decent attack, like Texas. And some characters do not, like Fang. And if you guys are interested, you can compare the stats and stuff like this of every single character in the game if you so desire. They don't have the whole skill uptime type stuff yet because it's still a work in progress, but keep an eye out for that. This is a really great resource. Stats don't mean everything, guys, but they definitely help out quite a bit. It's really about the skills that they use and the talents as well that really make a complete character super strong. But anyways, guys, I'm going to be posting the link to this in the description. I also made a table. I have it right here, and I was reading off on this for most of the video, but I'm going to be having this in the description as well. So if you guys want to check out what I came up with my Twitch chat, you guys can read into this. It's very, very simplified, but it also has the skill duration and cost. So you can kind of compare a lot of the characters together, especially within the subclass or against other subclasses. But hopefully this video helps you guys out. Thank you guys so much for watching. The next video is probably going to be snipers or casters. I haven't really quite decided yet. But anyways, thank you guys so much, and peace out.